Do you guys ever get the impression that things are only getting bigger and more expensive lately in the truck world? Yeah, me too. Well, luckily for us truck fans out there, there are still options like the Chevy Colorado that not only exist, but are actually excelling because there are truck fans who want to do truck things, but don't necessarily need the size and price that comes along with a half ton or even a 3/4 ton. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 Chevy Colorado, the most awarded truck so far here of 2024 for the midsize category, and see how this mighty midsize has grown in the 20 years since its inception, and just kind of take a closer look at some of the cool features. Let's go. So this again, my friends, is the 2024 Colorado Z71 package shown in this beautiful glacier metallic blue. Price as tested is just a hair below $47,000. Now for those unfamiliar, the Z71 package is an upper trim level package just behind the top of the line trim, which is the mighty ZR2. But if we flip you around and start taking a closer look at this front end, and I just have to say, way more menacing compared to the Gen 2. Thank goodness Chevy gave this thing a much needed facelift for the Gen 3 body style that rolled out back in 2023. Now diving a little closer into the front end here, guys, things like this nice bold gloss black bar cutting across the grille. I'm a big fan of that. Obviously we got the bow tie there front and center. You're looking at our Z71 badging, bringing in a bit of red. The Z71 does get a full LED lighting package, including these headlights. So what you're getting is a little bit of a running LED bar up top, in addition to a full LED projector and full LED fog light down below. Coming back to around front here, I also like how they implemented a little bit of this kind of charcoal gray down there to break up the color a bit, in addition to these bright red tow hooks. A little duff to see here with the bright sunshine, but they are there. And the splashes of red is something you're gonna see throughout the entire truck. Now coming in and taking a closer look at this hood, I really want to get you at eye level because you get a better sense of just how bulging and chiseled this hood looks. It really helps contribute to the more aggressive front end, and you really get a better sense of some of the design consistency that Chevy has brought into the Colorado here, playing along nicely with trucks like the Silverado, obviously, the Tahoe, and even the Blazer to a lesser extent. But as we make our way down the side of the truck, you'll see some of the muscular lines and chiseledness that were present with the hood also find their way to the side of the truck and the fender area as well. For instance, looking down the side of our Z71 package truck here, and even though we're free of any plastic flares per se like you might find on the Trail Boss or the ZR2, you still get the impression how wide this thing is and how much they've bumped out the sheet metal there. That does give the truck, I think, a more muscular stance, certainly a wider stance or presence here on the road. Now coming down to wheels and tires, these are the 18-inch dark Android aluminum wheels here in black. I really like the design. I think they look great. Absolute nightmare to clean thanks to all of those little holes that you have to get a wash mitt in. Not the end of the world, but certainly worth pointing out. Tire is going to be a Goodyear Wrangler 265/65 R18, essentially a 32-inch tire here on the Z71. Now, if that's not enough meat for you, well, Chevy does offer the Trail Boss with a 33-inch tire thanks to the 2-inch lift. The ZR2 does get a 3-inch lift, also that 33-inch tire. And if you really want to ball out, you can check out the AEV-backed ZR2 Bison, which kicks in a 35-inch tire and leads to a host of best-in-class off-road stats. Now, coming to the rear of the truck, and that design consistency that we talked about with the front is certainly alive and well back here. Things like the taillights do look very similar to that of the Silverado, also full LED on the Z71. Same stamped tailgate, which looks very familiar, in addition to the bumper step down there in the corner, which, by the way, is very functional. I love it, especially with a deeper bed such as this Colorado. But let's open up the tailgate here. Easy lift, easy lower tailgate. As you can see, we do have the factory spray and liner back here, which is nice. 120 volt outlet, always good to see those here on the modern trucks, and a number of tie down locations. But maybe one of my favorite things here about the new tailgate is the class first StowFlex technology, whatever they're calling it. It's very cool. pop a couple of locks, and there you go. You got very usable storage in the actual tailgate, and that is something that I really like. All right, cranking the hood on this mighty mid-size truck, and I do mean mighty because this particular Colorado is equipped with the TurboMax turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, cranking out 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Guys, that's better than the V8 powered Silverado, the 5.3, or the 5-liter F-150 when it comes to torque figure. So very impressive from the small turbocharged 4-cylinder. Now, I know some of you might have your, questions or hesitations about towing with something like this, a smaller displacement turbocharged 4-cylinder. Well, don't worry, because Chevy took a lot of technology and a lot of bulletproofing from the diesel world, gave this thing a fully forged bottom end and cast iron cylinder liners, just to name a few, to allow this thing to perform, and they really bolstered the cooling on it. So even if you're towing up to the 7,700 pounds max towing capacity with this particular setup, it is still gonna operate efficiently thanks to the massive charge air cooler and some of the other bits that Chevy's kind of baked into this thing. So very, very impressive. And at the time of this video, class leading. That is, of course, until the Ranger Raptor comes out later on this year. But from a turbocharged 4-cylinder, you're really not gonna get much power than this in a mid-sized truck. All right, guys, we're inside the truck. We had to find a nice shady little spot to talk about the interior of the Z71. And guys, I have to admit, this interior is done very, very well. This particular truck is outfitted with the perforated leather seats and the adrenaline red accents done through stitching and even these little hash marks, if you will, here on the leather seats. And it's done very well. We showed you some of the red accents on the exterior of the truck. It's nice how they pulled those to the interior. Feels very, very consistent in design. Outside of the black and red color theme, I love the layout here of the Chevy. It's been a treat to drive as far as tech is concerned. And for a gadget guy like me, the ability to really go through these screens, configure them, customize them, that's stuff that my Ford products just simply do not give you the option to do, at least to this level. You're getting an 11.3 inch screen for the center. Our Z71 does have the full 11 inch screen here for the gauge cluster. And altogether, I know we can be inundated with screens anymore. It doesn't feel too much here in the Colorado because they haven't totally abandoned buttons. That is a huge one for me, guys. I know I might be sounding a little old, but me personally, I like having some physical climate control buttons along with the screens. It's just much easier to navigate and do so quickly and not have to fumble with a million things while you're driving on the highway, putting you and your family at risk as you are distracted looking for the climate control. Not the case here. The tech is great. It works. It does not lag whatsoever with Apple CarPlay. I love that. And the physical buttons are extremely nice. The steering wheel, the red stitching is awesome. I love how they implemented some of this kind of forged carbon fiber accents within the interior itself. It's just done really well. I've been to a lot of mid-sized trucks. Some of them do interiors better than others, and I have to admit, this is certainly one of the better ones I've been in. The amount of stuff that you can do with that center cluster, customize the gauges, get different looks, get your maps, your music, whatever, your off-road stats, that's something that my Ford simply does not offer, and it's kind of a bummer. Outside of that, guys, I do also want to point out there are drive modes here with the Colorado, and they're done so on that little rotating knob by the shifter. So you're getting your normal modes, your terrain mode, your off-road, and your towing modes, and there are also very nice animations to go along with that. So really big fan of the interior. But let's go for a drive and see how this TurboMax inline-4 feels. All right, guys, so we're out here in the Colorado with the high output TurboMax engine. Now for 24, they got rid of the mid-level TurboMax. There used to be a third option, kind of the base 2.7, the mid, which really wasn't hot rodded that much, and then the high output. 24, they got rid of that mid and just let everybody have all the horsepower, all the torque with the essential high output option here of the TurboMax. It makes a ton of power. There's really no denying that. I mean, 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque is nothing to sneeze at, even if it sounds a little bit like a sewing machine when you start it up. But that's neither here nor there, because again, this thing gets up, it goes, it can certainly tow the number, 7,700 pounds here in this configuration, and it can certainly get up and out of its own way without issue. In fact, we actually revved it up a little bit here before going for a drive, so take a quick listen. Yeah, so there you go, right? Nothing really to sneeze at. It's definitely not going to win you any exhaust revving competitions or anything like that, but a noticeable amount of turbo noise through the exhaust here. And that's something you can even hear inside the cab, which I don't really hate. I think it sounds pretty cool. All right, guys, so behind the wheel of the 24 Colorado here with the TurboMax engine merging onto the highway, where you can really see what the 310 430 number is all about. So let it straight out a bit. Here we go, let's roll into it. Okay. Listen, it's certainly not going to win you any awards, you know, with exhaust sounds or drag racing, but it certainly gets out of its own way. And honestly, guys, you know, probably one of the more noticeable turbo lag vehicles I've driven stock. I mean, you roll into it and then it hits you, you know what I mean? You can really feel that turbo light, but it gets along pretty good. Fuel mileage, 18 city, 23 highway, about 20 combined. I've been driving this thing for about a week now. We're right on par with that, averaging about, I would say, 19 or so miles per gallon. But it's been a joy to drive because it's getting far better mileage than my day-to-day truck, which I really like. And not only that, it's just far more maneuverable and livable than a big lifted half-ton or a three-quarter ton, right? I mean, parking is a non-issue. You know, just moving this thing around is really a treat. The only place you really regret not having that half ton, and it's something my wife and daughter said immediately getting into this thing, is the interior. Listen, the mid-size stuff is, for as good as it is everywhere else, it really doesn't do you any favors when it comes to interior space. And that's kind of the trade-off, right? Yes, you're not getting as much towing. You're getting 7,700 pounds. Yes, you're only getting a 5-foot bed, and you are getting quite the cramped interior space. I mean, I hopped in the back where the seat is now, where I like to drive, and I couldn't really fit my legs in too well. They were physically pressed against the front seat. You know, these are the kind of sacrifices you have to make when going with something smaller, more affordable, and ultimately more economical. All right, guys, so there you have it. That was the 2024 Chevy Colorado in a nutshell. This was really a cool little truck that I enjoyed driving for the past few days, and I really do think there is a nice case to be made for the mid-size trucks if you don't need all the space and all the extra stuff that comes along with the half ton. The price is certainly right at $47K for this, nicely optioned out. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but trust me, guys, shop around the mid-size market for a new truck. It's amazing what you are getting here for the value. And ultimately, I think this is going to really give the Tacoma a run for its money here for the 2024 model year and years to come. In the meantime, guys, we want to hear from you. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you like the midsize, or are you hanging on your half or three-quarter tons? Drop us a comment and let us know. In the meantime, I'm Justin. Thanks for watching. And for all things truck, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.